Welcome. How is everybody doing today? No intro, just me. Usually I have an intro and I get to kind of dance behind the scenes, but for some reason I just clicked the go live and thought, no intro today. Welcome to Kevali channeling for October 17th. I feel like it's been forever since I've done a show because I haven't done one in October. I went away, and then when I got home, I only did two in September, and then I went away, and I got home and I was sick. So today is the first one for a while, and I'm glad, I'm honored, and I'm excited because I have a very good friend of mine, Mr. Stephen Lenz, sitting in the waiting room, and we're just going to chat. Thing with this is I never know where we're going to go when Steven and I start chatting. And I don't think Steven knows where it's going to go when Steven and I start chatting. So get prepared. This could be fun. I'm going to give you a fair warning. I might not go a full hour tonight. As most of you know, I'm suffering from long COVID. And after this sickness, my lungs today have been really not great. So I'm going to go as long as I can. If it's a half hour, it's a half hour. If it's an hour, it's an hour. We'll see how I hold up. So before I invite Mr. Stephen Lenz in, I have been putting together a workshop I've been encouraged by a bunch of my clients and of course my guides to put together a workshop and give kind of a channeling 101. So I have decided that's what I'm going to do. I have picked a date. It's going to be, mark your calendars, November 23rd. I'll be making an event and I'll be posting it. The thing with it is because it's an evening course, it's a Thursday night from 7 o'clock till 9. It's a 2-hour course. I can't do 20 people in a course and really give it proper attention it needs. So I'm going to limit it to 10 people. It's going to be the first 10 people to sign up, obviously. If there's enough interest, I will run it again in early December. My plan is to have 3 or 4 different workshops that I will be running on a regular basis. It'll be like 101, 102, 103, 104 kind of idea. Not all channeling, but there's going to be a bunch of different things I'll be delving into. So pay attention, mark your calendars, November 23rd, 7 p.m. Look for it on my, I was going to say website. I don't have a website. Look for it on my Facebook. There will be an event posted, hopefully tonight. If not tonight, I'll make sure I'll get it out tomorrow morning. Like I say, first 10 people to register, and it's a simple way to register, will be going to my book now, clicking my book now, and registering through there. I'll have it as a service. No, I can't do that. It'll be the first 10 people that just say they're going and have sent their e-transfer in, and I will book the first 10 people. So tonight, again, like I said, I have the absolute pleasure to bring in Mr. Stephen Lenz. Again, Stephen and I, trying to think when we connected. I was very early in my journey into this realm of spirituality, and we've just clicked. We get each other. So without further ado, I'm clicking that button.
Hello.
It's the magic button that pops people in. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing really well. It's good to see you.
Welcome to Kevali channeling.
Thank you.
Like I said, you're going to have to carry the show today because I'm having trouble breathing.
Well, it seems to be the case for a lot right now.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Okay. Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
Yeah, that sounds good. I like this. I see like drop-ins and people coming and just drop in classes for some channeling and
It's
here's how I'm gonna develop my intuition and get in touch with my soul and
it's been 6 months since my guides first put this in front of me, probably longer. And I was like, yeah. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
And as I was telling you off the air, I did like 9 readings in a row and 9 random clients, not associated with each other. Probably all 9 of them don't know each other. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like they colluded, but every single one of them over a 2-day period said at the end of our session, looked at me in the eye and said, "You need to start teaching this."
Yeah.
By the time the
I
ninth
really
one, I
love
was
that.
like, okay, I get it.
Yep. The
So here I
the
go.
others can be subtle or it can be, you know, not.
Sometimes my guides need to hit me over the head with a 2x4. So
Sometimes
I,
my guides do.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Hey, we got all kinds of people saying hello. So Morgan, Mr. Morgan Donnelly from Vancouver Island says
Awesome.
hi.
Haven't
Miss
seen Morgan in forever.
Shelley from Southern Alberta says hi, gentlemen. Ooh, we're gentlemen, dude.
Mhm,
I
mhm,
don't think
mhm.
I've ever been called that. I've been called some names before, but never gentlemen. Boom. So, um, like I say, we know each other pretty well, but
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that are listening or are going to listen to this that really don't know who you are and where how you got to where you are. So
Yeah.
let's take them way back. Um, and I'll call Rusty. That's funny. It's an old
Oh gosh.
what's his name?
Yeah.
A friendly
Friendly
giant.
giant. Yep.
Yes, friendly giant reference.
Mhm.
Um, where did you grow up? Did you grow up in the Calgary area or?
No, not at all. Um, Born in Edmonton, lived in Stony, just outside of Stony Plain. Then ended up, we moved up to the Arctic, Nunavut.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, in the early mid '80s, following work, just the economy, and so
Yeah.
I moved to a little place called the Glulik, a little island in between Baffin Island and mainland, above the Arctic Circle.
Wow.
Yeah, I lived there for a couple of years. Then we moved to southern Quebec, just south of Montreal, where my father's originally from, English area.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Went to
St.
school
Bruno?
there. The Eastern Townships,
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
beautiful, like gorgeous. Yeah.
Nice.
Um, and then back, so continued to bounce between um, West Bolton and the Eastern Townships and Iqaluit, which used to be Frobisher Bay, but it's now Iqaluit, the capital of Nunavut on
Yeah.
Baffin Island, till I was about 17, 18. Um, and then moved to Calgary. I think it was about 19 when I moved to Calgary. So I went to high school and finished my schooling up in Quebec and in the Arctic, and
Oh,
then
cool.
yeah, moved to Calgary. Um,
So
yeah,
you had pretty besides the fact you moved a lot, you had a pretty stable, I'll say, upbringing?
um, no,
No. I
yes, absolutely. Like I mean, my mom was home, and my father was off working, so he worked across the Arctic, and then when we
yeah.
were in Quebec, he continued to work in the Arctic, and so he would come home, and then and but every year and a half or 2 years, we ended up moving. Um, it was a safe household.
Yeah.
However, I kind of started venturing off on my own early on. You know, struggling to make friends and
Well,
to
when you're moving every 2 years, it would be tough, eh?
yeah, undiagnosed ADHD um and not knowing it and not really cluing in until more recently how sensitive I am, like spiritually sensitive.
Yeah.
I'm naturally born empath. Very Well, I actually had a tea reading the other day. It was a lot of fun, and she said, "You're an empath times 3," and I'm like, "That's accurate."
That's
Yeah.
accurate.
Um, so not being in an environment that fostered that type of or who I am, that kind
Yeah.
of a person, and there's a lot of people out there like that, especially now. A lot of
Yes.
the younger generations, especially now. Um, it became quite introverted, and then also um, sensitive to the environment around me. So trying to desensitize some of that, and trying to make friends and desensitize some of the confusion that I had.
Yeah.
And then, going through teenage years and all of that sort of thing, um, I started to experiment with drugs and alcohol. Yeah.
And when you
Start,
say experiment, you experimented.
yeah. Well, I got good at
You
it.
got very good at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Started tried smoking when I was like, well, the first time when I was 6, but that was something else. Yeah. So 13 years old, I peer pressure started smoking cigarettes, and then 14, I wanted to fit in. I wanted to try and be a part of. I tried, you know, smoking pot and hash, and not too long after that, picked up alcohol. Alcohol was my mom didn't drink, but my dad did.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, and then continued on like that.
right.
Um, just slow burn in through the teenage years, trying to make friends, but
Well, yeah, and you grew up in some areas that were, I'll use the word rugged.
yeah,
Um, it was you were out in the middle of nowhere, so really,
isolation is
besides,
part of my story. Yep.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Um, so we're gonna kind of jump forward into your adulthood. When did you really come to terms with the fact that I have an issue?
Uh, Probably my early 30s.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I knew I had issues. I remember quite clearly like crossing the line. Like, okay, if I'm going to do this today, I'm going to need some help. And so a few years later, yeah, after I was losing my job, I just started a good job. I was losing that. I didn't have the rent, and my girlfriend and we had broken up. Um, yeah, I backed myself into a corner that I did not want to go any further. I wanted to stop digging where I was at. I didn't want to go down any further, so I checked into a detox facility, and then went to a men's treatment facility for. I lived there for 9 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
9 months. Wow.
9 months. Yeah, I went through there 3 different phases. Exposed to 12-step recovery, like the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't go in there for as an alcoholic in my own mind. It was something else,
Yes.
and so I could understand it. And I got a really easy grasp. The information that's in that book, that textbook, is for me was quite. I could understand it.
Yes.
There's a bit of history in there as well, um, with all past lives. However, um, after about 11 months, I started smoking pot again.
Oh, okay.
And then it slowly progressed to alcohol, then progressed to a harder drug. And then I realized I really had a problem, because I was craving it, obsessing over it. And I ended up having a pretty bad episode where I had a seizure and got hurt pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how old are you at this point in your life?
33.
So just yesterday.
Yeah. I'm 47 now.
I know, I'm giving you a hard time.
I know.
Try to lighten it up.
Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, this is good.
So at 33, you said, "I need some help here, bud. I
Mhm.
I I need something."
Yeah. And one thing too, though, and they talk like I mean, recognizing that I couldn't use any of those substances,
Yeah.
um, it was a struggle. And so the shame of I was in a relationship, I was living with my girlfriend, um, the shame around falling back into that old behavior and using those substances, I kept it quiet and kind
Of
of
course.
suffered in silence for a while. I was started to do some meeting attendance, but I wasn't doing any of the actual work.
Yeah.
Um, and something that is quite common is I ended up getting hurt pretty bad where I needed surgery, and I ended up on painkillers.
Oh.
And I essentially traded all those other substances for painkillers and went into a serious opiate addiction for the next 8 years.
Oh, wow. 8
Yep.
years. I
Yep.
didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah, the chronic pain directly result from the surgery for 7 years. I had a corrective surgery and then struggled to try and get off it, and then asked for help in the eighth year.
See, I remember when I was in my car accident back in 2014 and wrecked up my neck, and they were giving me like, "What do you want? We'll give you drugs."
Yeah.
and I really could see how people could get addicted to that. It was like,
It's something
holy,
else.
it's a night. You feel damn good, especially when you're
Oh,
like you say you're in chronic pain
yeah.
and having I look up at my wall, having my brother who I lost in '09, um, who was AA, and I know addiction, and so it was one of those, no, I can't do these. So like just basically said, no, I'm gonna try different stuff, which I did.
Mhm.
Um, so you were 8 years like in that scene,
Yeah,
I'll call
that
it.
cycle
The cycle. Thank you.
of, chronic pain, nerve pain and some other types. I hadn't treated my emotional or mental or spiritual pain that I was in. I was doing was treating the physical, and because it's internal, struggling with the mental aspect of, am I really in pain, or am I just want to use these drugs because they made me, like, I felt really good.
Well, of
Like,
course.
yeah. So one thing with, it's progressive. And so, started on a small amount, and then, it wasn't too long after where I was taking more. And then that just progressed and progressed until I was supplementing, buying other people's prescriptions and supplementing. Yeah, actually, this is, huh, good. Yeah, good segue. Um, I just paid off $14,000 last week, that I had spent in supplementing. Yeah. Um, so four and a
Good for
half years
you.
of persistent, consistent effort, I paid off $14,000 that I had used to supplement, you know, my
Wow.
addiction, and or the addiction and the chronic pain. Yeah, that's a big
These
milestone.
stories always amaze me because you always hear you have to reach rock bottom before you realize that you really need to change your way of living. I remember my brother, his rock bottom was me punching him in the face and telling him, "I never want you around my family again," meaning my wife and kids at the time. He went to a treatment center just shortly after that, and I remember him getting his one of his cakes. I want to say his 5 year, maybe it was 10 years. It could have been five. And he pointed to me, who was, of course, I was there, and he said, "That's the reason I'm here today." Ugh, I get emotional when I talk about it. So,
Mhm.
what was that moment for you?
Just recent?
No, what was that
Oh, look.
moment where you said, I've reached rock bottom"?
None none of it worked anymore. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. My, in that, like, my marriage had suffered considerably. I had moved out 6 months before. Say, yeah. But we hadn't had a good relationship for a couple of years. I'm estranged from my stepdaughter, and extreme panic attacks, um, nearly ODing every time. Um, yeah, um, just the constant suffering, the constant cycle, and the anxiety and the effort it took to try and numb the pain. And eventually the drugs stopped, like, completely stopped working. Like, that, it's true, the drugs do stop working after a time because, we're not treating the real the root cause.
Well, yeah, exactly.
However, like, I mean, they literally stopped working. I used to enjoy smoking a bit of pot, or um, but for the last 8 months, every time I did, I had a panic attack. Yeah. Um, you know, it was unsustainable. That was it for me. Like, I couldn't function, I couldn't perform, I was in, my heart was broken. Um, I was in, like, extreme heartache and massive depression. I didn't want to die, but I just didn't. I didn't have the strength to try and do this anymore, and I knew there was another way. Um, I just had to surrender to that and ask for help. But it was
And
hard. That's the
and
hard part.
you did that though.
Yeah, I did.
And I'm damn glad you did because if not, you and I would never have met.
No,
Think
yeah,
about that for a sec, right?
it's
All the
true.
things that had to happen for you and I to meet, it's craziness when you really think about it.
Yeah.
Um, so how long you've been sober now?
Yeah, 1,700 and I don't know, 15 days or 51 days or
Not
something.
that you're counting.
No, I just looked.
So how many
um,
years is that?
it'll be 5 years in January, beginning of January.
Good for you, my friend. Good
Yeah,
for you. Super
yeah.
proud of where you've come. Knowing now where you've been, it's amazing to me where you've come. But I do have a question about where you've been through all that, because I know where you are now, and I know the man you have become.
Hmm.
How does spirituality fit into that?
Well, if you take a look at your video screen right now, you'll see a rainbow over top of you. Can you see
Oh,
yourself?
Jesus Christ! I just got goosebumps, man.
This is the team that has stepped forward
That's
to
bizarre.
assist with recovery, to assist with us, to help us move out of the darkness that we've been in with what addiction brings.
Can I get somebody who's watching to verify that they can see that rainbow over top of my head? Because I'm telling you, I do.
That is a collaboration there behind you of high ascended beings, archangels,
Yeah, that's
ascended
cool.
masters.
Oh, I
Yeah.
got
So
goosebumps.
spirituality works like that for me because at 18 months clean, I was suicidal. I
Hold
not
it. 18 months clean, you were still
suicidal. I
suicidal.
wasn't okay. I wasn't suicidal to the point where I had a plan. I had a plan like a couple years prior, but I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to be there anymore, and everything was very dark, and I was in an incredible amount of pain because everything I used to try and cope with that pain,
Yeah.
I I had given up and taken away. Because that's what I knew. I knew how to cope with alcohol, with substances, with behaviors like high risk, seeking behaviors, um, food. I had put on a lot. When I left treatment, I was 300 pounds. It's 8 months prior, I was 245 pounds. I put on a lot. My metabolism flipped, like, it went haywire, my nervous system went haywire going through the withdrawal system or the withdrawal process of just that because
Well,
the
yeah, with the
time
amount
out of
of
it.
narcotics you were taking.
Yeah, and I went on a rapid taper. Um, it was it was needed for me to not be a slave to any pills because they do have maintenance, and maintenance is great because it helps people integrate back into society and
Yes.
have. But I was I was gifted with a workplace that I could take some time off. I tried to go back to work, but it turns out I couldn't work anymore because of my state, and so I took an extended leave. Was able to have my rent paid and afford my needs and focus on my recovery.
Nice.
And so 18 months, I was at a point where I having these awakening moments, and I was doing a lot of meditation and trying to, and I knew things were trapped. I knew the emotions, the energy, the emotion I'd been stuffing down for years was stuck, and I couldn't get it out. And I was guided to a healer's table, a psychic energy healer, and skeptically, I went.
It was like, what am I doing?
Yeah, yeah, very. And
Was that Kim?
yet I went.
Was that
Pardon?
Kim?
No, that was Megan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What her last name escapes me right now. Soul Evolution. She helped save my life. She helped me save my life.
Wow.
Yeah. Sorry, my eye caught something.
Yeah.
I've made an appearance and left. Anyways, yeah, yeah. Big shout out to Megan. She helped me save my life.
So
And
you go to this healer. I'm going to delve into this because I love this kind of stuff because we're on
stuff.
Facebook. I'm not going to swear. And you obviously you got some thoughts going, what the heck am I doing here? How far into that first session was it before a light bulb went off? Or was it the first session, or did it take longer?
Oh, it took longer. It's taken quite some time. In all honesty, I'll tell you, like, my analytical brain, my analytical side is strong and prominent, and it served me well. But like my spirit guides, well, sometimes I think they're fractured parts of my psyche that are starting to get trying to integrate back in. I just got a tap on the arm. Um, you know, things like that. Like, I'm try to outthink this, but I can't. It wasn't too long. Um, it wasn't too long. She handed me a crystal one day. She's like, "I'm being guided to hand you a crystal." So she handed me this big piece of pyrite. I'm like, "Okay, all right. So what?" And then
Okay.
all of a sudden, I could taste it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's one of my clairs is like Claire Gustins, or they'll taste. I could taste things. I smell things like my when I have a new guide come in. There's a scent to it, and that's how they get my attention.
Yes. Yeah.
I can smell other things as well when there's other souls around or whatever else.
I get that quite often when I have a soul that's I'm not paying attention to, and it'll either be a taste, but most of the time, because it's a big nose, it's the smell, and it's undeniable. It's one of those,
Yeah. Well,
and
it
I'll
takes
look.
me. I'm like, okay, and then yeah, all right.
Well, I'll look over at Ellison, and I'll be like, "Do you smell perfume?" And she'll be like, "No," and I'm like, "Oh, hmm, okay, who is it?"
Yeah. So that and well, the undeniable part was I felt better.
You
The
can't deny that.
the undeniable part is I could breathe and I
Yes,
felt good for a few days. I felt great for a short time, and then I felt good, and then okay, and then it was time for another one because 40 years of accumulation. And then add in the fact that I am that I'm a born empath, born spiritual empath. You know,
yes.
there's different definitions for different things, and trauma plays a part in activating certain things. However, I was born a spiritual empath with a heightened sensitivity to spiritual activity and to energy. And that was my awakening, was just this knowing, this realization of energy, and I could feel it.
I always explain it to people as you have a natural athlete. Wayne Gretzky is a natural athlete. Anybody can go play hockey, but it takes a natural athlete to be that tuned in to be able to play at that level.
Mhm.
Same as you. Natural empath. It's just it's a thing. It's a
Yeah.
literal thing. So carry on.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Just I felt better. Like it relieved my suffering. There's, the spiritual body, the etheric body. Um, there's so much happening with the etheric body and how it supports our mental, emotional, physical bodies.
Yes.
How wrecked my physical body was, how poor my mental health was, like how and my emotional intelligence and my emotional well-being was, you know, we know most people know like three emotions to be able to tell you what they're thinking or feeling.
Yes.
So now I've with the work that I've done for myself and my diligence is recognizing the sensation, the energy that's generated within the body, you know, naming it. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Expressing it, you know, feeling it. And that's been a big part of my recovery is what am I thinking? How am I feeling? How am I behaving? And it usually works backwards because I'll be behaving kind of erratically and I'll know it. And then what am I thinking? Well, I can't really focus in on my thoughts. Okay. All right. So I need to take time. I need to pause. What am I feeling? I haven't got a damn clue. I just know I don't feel good.
Right.
So then I need to talk to somebody and I need to stop and feel. And just now it's almost instinctual. Like I might go a little while, just if there's things that need to get done, because I'm forcing myself to do things
Yeah.
and I'm not taking the time to take care of me. So now I stop, take a breath. What am I feeling? And I'll literally ask myself, what am I feeling? I used to do these meditations before, and I put my hand on my heart and I go, what am I feeling? And for the longest while, is pain. But I've gotten to I know the place in the center there, it is love. So now I just need to reconnect to that.
I love it.
Yeah.
Now, there's lots of people watching, um, and there's lots of people going to be watching. Um, if there's someone out there suffering similar to what you went through, if you could give them words of wisdom, if that's such a thing, what's a message? That's better. What's the message you would pass to them?
Well, I'm gonna drop in for this one.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Through the pain and through the suffering is where the relief is. Um, you are not alone. We're not alone.
Isn't
Uh,
that like probably the most important words? Ooh, I got goosebumps upon my goosebumps. Um, the most important words that somebody who's going, it doesn't matter what you're going through, when you're
yeah.
emotionally at that low level, physically at that low level, whether you're addicted or whether you're not, could be a multitude of different reasons you're at that level. I think the most important words, and I was waiting for you to say them, is you're not alone.
Mhm.
This, I keep banging on my desk. This is why I freaking started this show, is for this purpose. I want
Oh,
people to hear, if one person heard Stephen talk and it made him feel something, then all this time I've spent in front of this computer week after week, guess what? It's worth it.
yeah. 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 Don't be afraid to try different things. Even if it's uncomfortable and even if you don't think you fit in, at least it's a toehold. Just like just a little spot. Like I I don't resonate with a lot of certain recovery groups. Um, I've done a lot of different things for my recovery, and my spiritual work, and I've had to learn a lot of lessons through that, and there's been a lot of growth. Um, Even the spiritual awakening, it's lonely, it's hard because I'm going through my recovery, like re- through the process of recovering from the years of abuse I put myself through and that I had experienced, and I'm having a spiritual awakening at the same time.
Yes.
Like, like it's that is a shit show. And
Just, I
sorry,
mean, I'm just going through the spiritual awakening part,
yeah,
and
it's
that's tough enough.
that's tough enough.
To add in going through your sobriety at the same time. And I
Yeah,
have to say, I mean, we met, I'm going to say two
3
and a
years
half
ago?
years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it was in an Akashic Records, workshop.
Nope. Nope.
No?
We
Oh, it
met
was
before
channeling?
that. We met at Kim and Ken at the time. Um, oh, maybe not. Maybe it was my guides are correcting me.
Yeah.
Kim and Natasha were putting on a workshop in the basement of Kim's place.
We met before then. Oh,
Did
not
we?
face to face, just on Zoom. Yeah.
Okay,
No,
that would be
face to
why I'm
face. That was
thinking.
awesome.
And I remember I was like, well, here's this guy. He's kind of burly, he's manly.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
room full of
always been the Mr. Emotional. I can remember as a teenager, especially young adult, my friends used to bug me like because I literally wore my heart on my sleeve. I would cry. God forbid I should cry. And I'll never forget that night because you cried. And I looked over and I went, I'm not that different.
yeah.
We cry. That's a thing.
Well, yeah, I shut that down for a long time. Not supposed to. That's
No, supposed
no,
to be
but I
tough
didn't. I
burly
didn't
men.
feel safe to. Yep. But yeah, that night was something special. A friend came through,
Yes.
who was still suffering and was able to receive some healing that night. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I
he
remember
pops
that.
in every now and then to say hi. And I got a
Cool.
couple of friends that have passed. Unfortunately, where you come from a place of addiction is, and you stay in the recovery communities, death is a part of it.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Wait till you get to my age. I'm almost 59. You just have people die because we're getting old.
Yeah.
It's just a thing.
At least they don't like there's there's more. There's
Yeah.
so much more.
Oh,
So that takes the fear out of it.
yes.
It's
Doesn't
like,
it?
I mean, I don't want to die, and I'm still like, I mean, I'm don't say I'm not scared of dying or something like that. Like, I mean, but I know there's more. We're changing vibration.
Yes.
We're literally moving into another vibration, another frequency, and
Well, as
beautiful.
as I tell all my clients, we live there. We just visit here.
Yeah.
It's a simple concept, really.
Yeah.
When you look at it, it's just a visit. Um, what is it that you do now um, to and it's weird how they're saying this, so correct me if I'm getting it wrong. What do you do now to give back?
Mm. Give back?
I know, and I was like, "Huh?"
Well,
I
no, no. Like, I mean, yeah.
you give
I
when I say that, I still can't get over this freaking and I could, like, point to it. It's just been there the whole time.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Um, any squirrel! I told you guys, you never know where this is gonna go. Um, when I say give back, what I'm talking about is your healing work that you're doing for others.
Yeah. Well, I do a lot, and yet I don't. There's I've been called multidimensional, and you know, I was confused by that, and people have stated like you're powerful, and confused by that, but that was more of a playing small. So I'm stepping into not playing small. I'm stepping into my authentic um, self, spiritual being, divine human being.
Yes.
And I help facilitate a 12-step meeting with Narcotics Anonymous. And Narcotics Anonymous has been a big factor in my recovery. The spiritual principles in the 12 steps, and it doesn't matter what anonymous group, those spiritual principles are solid and
Yes.
universal. They're like, I mean, universal, they're applicable to any portion of anyone's life, period. That's it. I also give back through I work with I try. I'm extremely sensitive. And so there are souls that will hang around. If they go through a traumatic experience in the death experience, and they either decide to hang around or are attached to something or are struggling and feeling lost. And
Not crossing over.
I help facilitate healing and crossing for them.
Beautiful.
That is something I don't talk about, but I do it.
You know what?
I also
I don't
also
talk I don't talk a lot about it because I do the same thing, and why how do I phrase this? Why don't we talk about it? Why we should we not talk about that?
I think we should. Think we should sit like tell say that, you know, belief systems, traumatic experiences, something sudden and rigid has an effect and has a ripple effect through the ether, through time and space. And it affects the people that are still living and it affects the ones that have just passed.
Yes.
And There needs to be a recognition of that, and letting go of the ones that have passed in a loving way, um, is I think it would be a very positive thing. Um, my grandmother, when she passed, this freaked me out. So I felt my grandmother pass 2 days before she passed. A week before she passed, my grandfather came in to give me a little pep talk and coach me on that, and he's been gone for about 15 years, and, like, I don't it's awesome. It's
Yes.
awesome, it's awesome, it's awesome, but I don't typically communicate in that way, but it happened.
You don't talk to dead people like I do.
No, I don't. So when my grandmother passed, she popped in to say, "Don't grieve. Grieving is the regrets that you the regret that you didn't get to do while we were alive."
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Whoa." Like, I mean, I still have to grieve. Like, I mean, as a human being, and I shut it down for a while, and so this is part of my learning on how to, be fully
Function.
human and function and, have emotional intelligence and well-being and part of my mental health and my physical and everything.
Yes.
I paused my grieving for a couple of days, and it wrecked me for, like, a month. So, the
People
learning process is still there. I
people
also
have to
facilitate
realize
healing. I take clients on. I take clients on to help realign their spiritual bodies, get them back in connection with themselves and their souls. I do soul healing. I do like spiritual healing. I do physical healing. I channel tremendous healing energies, and I am backed by a lot of light beings and angels and archangels.
and I this is why you and I just connect so well because you realize and you in that one sentence you summed it up. Um we're just vessels. This we're just vessels being your guides are funny. Being manipulated and in a good way
Yep.
um to help others. Um it's not us. And people always like, "How did you know that?" And I'm like, "I didn't know that. It's not me. It's your guides talking to you
Yeah.
when I'm doing my spirit guide readings or a loved one." Um,
The There's so much to it though. Like people have psychic abilities which can read the energy output or input of your vibration, and they're in tune with that, and they can get a reading on that.
yes.
The brain will help decipher what that vibration is. Then there's the mediums or soul communication or direct communication. There's I communicate well with angels because they show me they show me like waves of frequency and color and stuff like that. And I understand that. Now, okay, so this was slightly out of alignment with the rest of the vibration that everybody's carrying. And I'm like,
See,
okay, so how do we
and that's why you do what you do.
yeah.
To me, I would be like sitting in a corner, sucking my thumb, rocking back and forth, going, "I've lost my mind."
And I love the energy they bring. It
Right?
feels so amazing. Oh my gosh.
Where
Yeah.
for me, having spirit guides or loved ones from the other side come to me is normal. It's been that way my whole entire life.
Yeah.
I mean, from as young as I can remember, I saw dead people. It was something I always did. I
Yeah.
buried it because I was told it was evil, um, because we were brought up in the Catholic Church. So only the guy in the collar was allowed to talk to dead people, apparently. Um, my guides were like, "Would you stop that?"
I could rip on it all day, but I'm not going to.
I tried.
I
I
am
tried.
above
I
that.
tried. I tried to
Right.
poke them. I tried to poke them, folks. So you are now literally working with clients. Um, correct me if I'm wrong, Peggy,
Yeah, Piggy
your
Ann, Piggy Ann, yeah,
your other half, that
yeah.
that freaking you guys match so perfectly together, I must say.
It's
Um,
yeah,
the
yeah,
two of you together are now doing a lot of healing work on clients.
this is true. So, this has been, quite the collaboration. Um, I call her Heidi. Um,
You
and
know what? You know what? I had to look, and I had to look up because she made a comment earlier about the rainbow, and she says there is in capital letters a rainbow above your head.
yeah,
So I'm like, it's Peggy or Heidi? Shit, I always screw this one
well,
up.
it's yeah,
Her
it's
name's Peggy,
yeah,
but
and
you
it's
call her Heidi.
and I call her Heidi.
We
Um,
won't go into deep.
it's not
We don't
necessary.
have the time.
Yeah, her training and extensive experience with the physical body and the physical aspects. Her training with she's a specialist in lymphatic drainage, which is the system that removes everything from the cells and carries it away and helps eliminate it from the body. So if there's any sickness, any excess in the body, the lymph system does that. And the lymph system is actually quite fragile, and it's, it's like a watershed that's underneath the skin. It's like it's she could explain it, and it's amazing. And she's also um like spiritually in tune, and she has worked her early works with um like as a mortician, which is really cool. So she's got intimate knowledge of the physical body, and we communicate well with each other, and um, even with our teams, like our spiritual teams. And so we've started working together, where I'm working energetically and she's working physically, and we are bringing in some incredible healing and results, supporting the whole body system, essentially like what her physical side and my energetic side,
It's
and
a perfect match.
it brings in, yeah,
It really is.
so it's yeah, it
How,
is quite the experience.
if somebody wanted to reach out to you or to Peggy Heidi, um, what's the best way that they can do that, Stephen?
Well, I've got that my Facebook page there, Messenger, or my cell phone, 403-971-2939. um it should be on, well, I think, I don't know, I'll put it on my Facebook page or something.
Yeah.
But
So they can
Messenger
reach
is a
so
good one. Like, that's a quick and
Stephen
easy.
Lenz. If you just go to Facebook, Stephen Lenz, I
Yeah.
believe it's a picture of you. You don't have something weird on there. It's just that
Yeah, it's like
smiley
this,
face of his.
something like that. Looks
Um,
something like this. Yeah.
you can't mistake that.
Yep.
Folks, if you want that healing, I'm telling you, um, reach out. These two are doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
She has
I
other
have to.
services available, and I do take on clients as well, and I work with emotional and getting back in tune with the body, tapping into that intuitive sense, connecting them. Actually, I have a team that is very supportive and um, aligned with the Akashic Records, angelics, and with the soul for support in recovery,
That's
a recovery of whatever form. But
thank you.
I do kind of, I have extensive experience in addiction recovery and life, learning how to live again as a recovering addict.
It's really funny how I seem to be always connecting with people who are in recovery of some kind. One of my other best friends, Rod Peterson, who we've talked. I think you met. Did you meet him?
I don't think I have. No.
Okay. We have to get you two to talk one day because, again, he's a sober coach, mental health advocate, and coach as well. So
Yeah.
it's weird how I'm always connected that way, and I think it's my brother working behind the scenes who was, as I said, a member of Bill W.'s family. I use that intentionally because we were on a ship and somebody's like, "What is this Bill W? We should go to that." We were on a cruise, and I was like, "No, you don't want to go to Bill W."
Maybe you do.
Maybe you did.
There's
No, this person
114
definitely
groups
shouldn't.
or 130 groups now because of that.
Yes. Hey,
Yeah. Yeah,
pretty amazing,
it is.
folks. We're gonna call it I got to
Yep.
call up. My
I
lungs
think
are
we made it
done.
the hour, didn't we? We're
We
pretty
did
close
almost.
anyways.
It's 50 minutes, so darn close to the full hour. I'm pretty
Yeah.
proud. I barely coughed, but if I keep going, I'm going to cough like a
Yeah. It's actually
mofo.
I believe you've received a little healing because your chest is considerably lighter right now.
Yes, it is definitely. I'm glad we did this.
Me too.
As always, next week. I forget who I'm having on the show next week, and she's going to kill me. I know who it is, and I can't.
Me again.
The name's missing. I'm missing the name. You know her, but she's the queen of memes. I'll say. How's that? No, eh? That
Well,
doesn't.
I don't know, like Natasha comes to mind.
No, not Natasha. Natasha is not the queen of memes. Natasha's
Megan.
the.
Okay, I gotta say Megan Dick is her
Nope.
name.
Oh yes,
DYCK.
Megan Dick. That's the one you
I
were trying to get her
Nope.
last name.
Yep. It's talented. Yep. Very talented, powerful healer. So,
Powerful. Very yes. So I'm
anyways,
going down my list here. I am so bad with names. I horrible human being that I am. Um, I'll find it and I'll post it, and she'll kill me when she comes on because I forgot her name. So I'll post it. Stephen, thank you so much, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Tune in next week. And don't forget to look for Stephen on Facebook. Look for me at Kevali Channeling. November 23rd, mark the date and pay attention because I am going to be putting up a event. And if you want to attend that first ever workshop they're going to do, it'll be on there. Till next week, folks,
fantastic.
take care.